this film is a national treasure. This is a wonderful film. We have never seen anything like this. And the next thing they said is, but why was there no copy in Indonesia? And one of them said, mungkin ini salah satu efek sampingan regime Soeharto.
Ya, mungkin karena
rewrite history, right?
Ya, karena terlalu menunjukkan prestasi Bung Karno barangkali.
Exactly.
Ya, mungkin.
Oh yes, very much so.
Ya. Sehingga tidak perlulah ini diketahui, dipublikasikan gitu ya.
So I hope that this doesn't happen again, but I don't think it will. I think everybody's very pleased that we now have this film.
Yeah. Oke, David Hanan dari Bali ya, duduk yang santai. Terima kasih Anda berkunjung ke Sinematek.
Oh, saya suka datang ke Sinematek. Saya pertama kali kerja di sini ikut tahun 1981.
Oh ya,
waktu ada projek melestarikan film Sinematek.
Iya.
Sumanjaya.
Dan Anda terus-menerus berkomunikasi dengan Sinematek ya?
Iya.
Kenal baik dengan karyawan-karyawan Sinematek.
Ya, karena itu mereka yang membantu saya untuk mulai bicara bahasa
Indonesia. Dan Anda melahirkan buku yang cukup bagus, tebal, juga prestisius.
Right.
Ya. Dan
dua buku
dan Anda memberikan juga ke Sinematek. Terima kasih.
Okay. The two books are one, the cultural specificity in Indonesian film.
Ya. Yang kedua,
diversity in unity. And that was published itu diterbitkan pada tahun 2017 oleh Springer, dan baru 2 tahun yang lalu ada buku kedua. Moments in Indonesian Film History, Film and Popular Culture in a Developing Society, 1950 to 2020.
Ya, kami sudah terima.
Terima.
Ya, sudah terima buku itu. Penguin ya? Penerbitnya apa?
Palgrave Macmillan.
Palgrave, ya. Oke. Dan Anda dalam usia sekarang terus-menerus melakukan penelitian.
Yes.
Aktif.
Ya,
dan terakhir saya dengar Anda peduli dan menemukan sebuah film dokumenter yang sangat penting berjudul Pandit Nehru Visit Indonesia. Itu adalah produksi negara, Pusat Film Negara 50. Anda menemukan film itu
print N16 mili.
Print 16 mili.
National Film and Sound Archive of Australia.
Coba ceritakan, kenapa Anda tiba-tiba tertarik melacak film itu dan kemudian menemukan dan kemudian ingin melestarikan?
In 1993, I was asked by the Australian Film Commission, AFC, to write a lengthy report on the representation of Asian countries in Australian documentaries. And they gave me a budget of $7,000, and my work was to look at every film we could find in the NFSA, the National Film and Sound Archive, that was about Asia, and it was made by Australians. And I, in the course of looking at these films, which was sent to me in Melbourne on VHS tape, I found there was one, and it didn't say where the film was made. And when I looked at it, it said Perusahaan Film Negara,
PFN,
which is now PFN, not PPN.
Yeah, not VPN. Yeah. Okay.
And I said, this is from Indonesia. This is not an Australian film. So I watched it. I was very interested because I had been coming to Indonesia for 10 years by then. And I realised it was not only a unique film, but a really powerful, enthralling film, which showed you not only the visit of Nehru, but Nehru is accompanied throughout the 60 minutes of the film. He's with his daughter, Indira Gandhi, and her two sons, Rajiv and Sanjay.
Yeah.
And they begin in Jakarta. They arrive in by ship in the Indian Navy in Jakarta. They're welcomed there. He makes a speech in the Constituent Assembly, etc. There are the various receptions in the palace. And then they go to Bandung. And in Bandung, there is a wonderful scene where they're greeted by hundreds of thousands of people who had not seen Sukarno since he had achieved Kemerdekaan.
Yeah.
So, and what the film shows is not only Nehru's visit and Sukarno accompanying him, but millions, hundreds of thousands of Indonesian people celebrating. Celebrating not only the visit of Nehru and Sukarno, but the achievement of independence. Bahwa Indonesia sudah berhasil merdeka. And this is very moving to watch in the film. And this happens in Bandung, in Surabaya, and in Bali, and in Yogyakarta. So, and the film lasts 60 minutes, so it is a unique historical record. And what happened then was that, first of all, ada assumpsi saya. I assumed there would be a copy in Indonesia. But 10 years later, after Suharto was no longer president, I would ask my filmmaking friends, whether it was Garan Nugroho or Daniel Rudy Herianto or Gatot Rakosa, or even people here.
Mereka tidak pernah melihat.
Tidak pernah melihat, tidak tahu apa-apa tentang.
Tidak tahu apa-apa tentang Bandit Nehru visit Indonesia ini ya. Okay.
So akhirnya I visited the Arsip Nasional Republik Indonesia di Jakarta Selatan. Dan mereka tidak punya juga.
Tidak punya. Tetapi ada catatannya, ada nggak?
I don't know whether mungkin tidak ada catatan.
You don't know.
I don't know, but I think they would have told me if there were notes about it. So they had no record of the film, neither the film itself nor, as far as I know, no record. We know nothing about this film. So then I started to lobby the Australia Embassy to talk to the National Film and Sound Archive in Canberra and ask them to donate a copy.
Dan khusus memang mencari film ini ya. Anda menghubungi Australian Embassy itu memang untuk menanyakan film ini ya.
Well, I told them that there was a copy here. There was a copy in Canberra, a 16mm print, but that there was no copy in Indonesia, and that it was a very important historical record. You could say it is a national treasure because there's nothing else like it about that period. So, first of all, I spoke to the Australian ambassador, Gary Quinlan, at a time when he was giving a talk at the Ubud Writers Festival in 2019. That's 4 years ago. And he said, this is very important. We will do this. But then COVID came along and nothing happened. And now there's a new staff at the embassy. And a year ago, I started to lobby them. And they responded quite quickly. And eventually, the National Film and Sound Archive made a copy, and it arrived in Jakarta maybe a month ago. And they organised the presentation of the film.
Itu sudah dialih media menjadi digital.
Yes.
Yang Anda bawa.
It's in digital form. The 16mm print is still in Australia.
Di Australia. Berapa lama itu Anda menemukan dalam bentuk 16 mili sampai didigitize oleh Australia. Berapa lama itu?
30 years. Things happen slowly, but you see, I didn't know.
Dan Anda sering bertanya itu ya?
I didn't know that there was no copy in Indonesia.
Okay.
But until about 7 years ago.
7 years, yeah.
Maybe longer. And that was when I went to Arsip National.
Okay.
And things have. I've been very busy writing my books. And so I couldn't just stop writing the books and start sorting this out. But eventually, when I spoke to the Australian ambassador at the Ubud Writers Festival, they understood how important this was. And it would have happened 3 years ago, 3.5 years ago, except for COVID stopping everything happening.
Kemudian film itu akhirnya memang diserahkan kepada Indonesia.
Yes, Indonesia now has a copy.
Atau kedutaan, diserahkan ke kedutaan.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Chandra Wibowo at PFN, she said to me yesterday that the film would not just remain in the archive, that they would make copies which could be shown in schools, at upper level in schools, and maybe in universities. Because it showed so much important Indonesian history in such a direct way. She said this is a wonderful educational resource. She and also I think it was Mr. Awis who wanted to do this. But I understand a copy will also be deposited in the Arsip Tentang Bung Karno yang ada di UGM. Apparently there is a big arsip about everything to do with Sukarno is at UGM. So they may make a copy and put it there as well. So they will use the film. The film should be shown on television as well because many Indonesians they've never seen all this. You know?
Yeah. Dan pada tanggal 5 Desember kemarin ada seremoni formal.
Very formal, yes.
Very formal ya, untuk mengumumkan atau menyerahkan film itu
dan putar film itu juga.
Dan diputar juga. Di mana itu?
Di gedung besar untuk di Anri.
Di Anri, di Anri. Anda
diundang. Ini bagian dari upacara itu dan saya memperkenalkan kebetulan.
Anda mempresentasikan tentang film itulah ya, menjelaskan. Dan di situ dihadiri satu duta besar Australia. Siapa namanya?
Penny Williams.
Kemudian didatangkan juga oleh Ketua ANRI. Kemudian ada orang India itu saya lihat.
The deputy ambassador from India. In fact, the ambassador was going to come, but suddenly there was other business that he had to attend to, and he wasn't in Jakarta. Suddenly he'd gone, so his deputy came.
Tapi juga karena Nehru juga kan, karena film.
Because Nehru is important in the film, and Indira Gandhi, Nehru's daughter. And even little Rajiv Gandhi, who later became the prime minister and was assassinated. He's only this high in the film. He's just about 7 years old.
Jadi setelah film itu ditemukan, ini dulu saya bertanya dulu. Menurut Anda yang peneliti, kenapa film itu tidak ada di Indonesia semula?
Well, now that's a leading question. There were various possibilities. It's possible that maybe.
Silakan
It is possible that in 1950 they had not worked out the
kebijaksanaan rezim Orde Baru.
No, belum ada kebijaksanaan melestarikan film.
Belum ada usaha melestarikan film.
But ini tidak masuk akal karena 2-3 tahun kemudian pasti ada. Karena ada judul dari tahun 52-53 dan film itu kalau dibuat tahun 50 masih ada. So ini tidak masuk akal. Saya pernah memutar di rumah saya DVD copy saya punya film ini sudah lama dari Australia. Dan orang yang nonton, orang Bali kebanyakan, ada beberapa orang Jawa juga bilang. Mereka bilang, first of all, they said, speaking English, they said, this film is a national treasure. This is a wonderful film. We have never seen anything like this. And the next thing they said is, but why was there no copy in Indonesia? And one of them said, mungkin ini salah satu efek sampingan regime Soeharto.
Ya, mungkin karena
rewrite history, right?
Ya, karena terlalu menunjukkan prestasi Bung Karno barangkali.
Exactly.
Ya, mungkin.
Oh yes, very much so.
Ya. Sehingga tidak perlulah ini diketahui, dipublikasikan gitu ya.
So I hope that this doesn't happen again, but I don't think it will. I think everybody's very pleased that we now have this film.
Ya, selain film itu menggambarkan kehebatan Bung Karno sebagai tokoh Asia Afrika dan bersahabat dengan Nehru. Menurut Anda isi film itu apalagi pentingnya untuk sejarah Indonesia?
Well, I think what it shows is the atmosphere in Indonesia, in 4 major cities, Jakarta, Bandung, Yogyakarta, Surabaya, and Denpasar, in fact 5 cities. This atmosphere of joy at the ending of colonialism. And the 2 people who were visiting, they were the main initiators, the most important figures in pushing this to happen, right? Because Nehru had fought for 30 years in India to get independence. And they Sukarno and Hatta, they both admired Nehru. They'd actually both been to India just after World War II. Both of them had already visited India. And so there was a strong bond between Nehru and Sukarno and Nehru and Hatta. But one of the reasons they invited Nehru was that at the time of the first Dutch police action, when the Dutch broke the Linggadjati agreement, that the Dutch would control some areas and the Indonesians another, Nehru protested about this directly to the Security Council of the United Nations. And he was followed in this by the Prime Minister of Australia, because the Australian Labor Party, they were in power then, they did not want nearby countries to be colonies. They wanted them to be independent nations. That was the view of the Partai Buruh in Australia.
Partai Buruh.
Yeah, the Labor Party.
Labor.